I spent 100 days on a desert superflat world in hardcore Minecraft. It wasn't just any superflat world though, we tweaked the preset settings so there was only 4 blocks between us and the bedrock, making desert temples useless and giving us their valuable loot. With all that said, why don't we get right into the video.
No loot from this one.
Oh yeah, and I'm also joined by Burbius, just to make this challenge even worse. Our first order of business was to look for a blacksmith, because the blacksmith chests in desert villages have a chance of containing oak saplings, which is what we would need to get wood. Oh yeah, and also, the only form of stone we can get in this world is around lava pools, making stone an incredibly scarce resource. On the way to look for a blacksmith, we looted every single village we saw, finding loads of wheat for us to live off of. We also made sure to collect every single piece of dirt we saw in these villages, because they were the only source of natural spawning dirt in the entire world. We also farmed the iron golems from every village to get a small amount of iron, which would come in handy later when we needed buckets. And after 4 days of going to different villages looking for a blacksmith, we finally found one. Oh my god, there's a blacksmith!
Yes, yeah.
I swiftly looted the blacksmith, and it had just what we needed. 3 saplings and an iron helmet.
I kill myself.
Which eventually was robbed from me.
Give me the hat now.
And after stealing my hat, he proceeded to make, let's just say, lewd art projects on the ground.
What did I make?
That's a cock. Now that we had the saplings and the dirt, we were looking for a place to set up our compound.
I've selected right here. I've selected right here.
Now that Burbius has chose a spot, we put down our beds and went to sleep for day 5. I started out day 5 by building a farm, which I realized wouldn't really be necessary because of how much wheat we had already, but you know what? It was for the aesthetic. Burbius also began work on our quote-unquote ballroom, which was a very prestigious room surrounded by cactus with a floor of hay, just to show how rich we are. I also made a slime tunnel to make it easy to get in and out of the ballroom. On day 6, I began work on our next big project, which would be our main mega base, which was going to be a tower with different layers of different blocks going all the way to max height. But to get the sandstone we needed to farm sand, so we started a massive quarry. And after 7 days, finally, our first tree grew right in front of my eyes. I used the wood to make ladders and other tools to help with the construction of the tower. Oh yeah, and Burbis has a schizo episode right here. I think at a certain point, as you can see here, he runs off into the distance. Where are you going? Why are you, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
You think about that next time.
And then I remembered, oh yeah, cobblestone generators exist. So I went and I collected some lava and water and created a little garage on the left side of our tower to make a cobblestone generator.
Nice.
I went on to also make a little monument for our infinite water source because it is one of the scarce sources of water on the entire world, so I wanted to commemorate it. On day 9, we got a lot of materials to craft a lot of walls to make a safe space around our compound so we can go about our daily tasks without having to worry about slimes or husks or any of the mobs. On day 10, I began construction of the wall, which was set to encompass our entire compound, keeping it safe from, you know, the monsters and hopefully slimes, but you'll see what happens with them later on. After finishing the wall on day 11, I was trying to figure out a way to light up the compound to prevent mobs from spawning in it. And, you know, since there's no coal on a super flat world, I was a little confused on how I would get a light source. But then I remembered, oh yeah, you can just make charcoal. So I smelted down a bunch of our logs from our expanding tree farm to make some torches. I then spent the rest of day 11 placing torches around the compound and on the walls. I guess I forgot to play the game for day 12. As you can see by this footage, I was just sitting in our slime room on the top of our tower. On day 13, I guess I decided to play the game again, and as you can see, Burbius got busy building a whole new pond for us, and he's gonna repurpose the infinite water pool to be a fishing platform, as you'll see later. For the rest of day 13, I just prettied up the base a little bit. As you can see here, I added a little wooden rim around the farm just to make it just a little bit prettier. On day 13, we can see here Burbius trying to tame a cat, not because he likes cats, but because he wants to farm them. Now, we just let Burbius do his own thing, okay? We don't really judge. And to help Burbius with his lifelong dreams, I help him build a cat daycare center in which the farming will take place. Now before you say, oh, it's cruel that we're killing these cats, just know it is the most efficient form of getting string and then wool. We could farm sheep, but they can't eat grass, so we would have no form of replenishing the wool. We would have to breed them over and over again, which is not efficient. But the cats, now that's where the efficiency is at. On day 14, I finished the kitty cat daycare center, as you can see here, in which Burbius will be moving his kitty cats into at any moment. I spent the rest of day 14 digging out a little trench that we're going to use to make a cobblestone path to make the compound look a little more organized. Nothing much happened on day 15 and 16, just prettied up the base a little more, but on day 17 I lava casted a nether portal using the lava pool near the compound. Since there's no gravel in an all desert world, we had to use an intricate method in order to light the portal, in which I got the lava, try and ignite a wooden plank to attempt to light the portal. It took a bit, but we finally did get it.
We're gonna park all them cars.
Oh, it lit! Oh! Shit, hold up.
We're in a nether.
Yeah, we have another portal. I then spent the rest of the day making the portal look nice and pretty and match the rest of the base. Oh yeah, there was also an incident with Burbius's newly tamed cat where he wandered into the nether and almost killed himself. It would have been funny as hell if he did die, but sadly he does not, and Burbius gets to keep his cat. On day 18, we started off the day with a silly incident inside of the roof of the newly built daycare center.
Why did you put 2 creepers in the roof of this house?
I did not do that. They spawned in there, I swear.
Come up.
Oh, dude. What are they doing? They're in the corner. Hold on, I'll be right back. Let me deal with this.
No, leave them. Leave them. I like them here. Leave them.
Okay, but what if you accidentally blow them up? We can't. This is too big of a safety risk. Day 19, I spent building a pen for animals, as the only natural spawning animals in this world are sheep, pigs, and cows, and they only spawn in villages. So I was building a pen for the cows that I spotted in a village earlier. On day 20, I got said cows and brought them back to the compound safe and sound to begin breeding. For the rest of days 20 through 22, we decided that we were going to finish our slime portion of the tower, so we spent the majority of 2 days killing slimes. Here's a little slime montage for you. Fucking 22, yeah, this is gonna be a great way to skip like 2 days.
Or we could actually put the day correctly now.
Although that's boring, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, fuck our viewers. Leave that in the video. Please leave that in the video. Nobody's watching to this point anyway, and if they are, then they already like us.
I'm gonna leave you begging to leave that in too. After 1,000 slimes dead, we finally had enough slime blocks to complete this section of our tower. Days 23 through 29, I spent working on an iron farm that would make it easier for us to collect iron so we didn't have to go around killing iron golems through other villages. While I was in the midst of working on my iron farm, I got attacked by some hooligans. I guess in the most recent update they made it so these pillagers drop bottles of bad omen instead of just, you know, giving you bad omen, which is nice. After the pillager incident, I decided I wanted to move a villager into the iron farm, and I started with this guy right here, who was very cooperative. Many of them were not, which you will see soon, but this guy, he was very cooperative. He went straight into the box, so I'm very grateful towards him. And this was the next guy I got. I actually rounded up 3 here, and as you'll see soon, these guys were not cooperative at all. Pissed me the hell off. This first guy in particular decided he wanted to kill himself instead of going into the chamber. You going, buddy? Let's try that again. Like, so incredibly confused. Where do you think he's just gonna kill himself? He's just trying to kill himself, dude.
I bet you there's still another log buried up in there somewhere.
Oh Christ, there's a hole in the wall now. Yep, you're f***ing dead, buddy. You did that to yourself, I hope you know that.
Did you extract him, or did he extract himself?
He extracted himself. He brought me to the wall and blew it up after that so-called experience. The other guy decided he wanted to cooperate now, so we got him up into the chamber. Wow. After I got all the villagers into their chamber, I decided that now it was time to get an anvil, because we needed an anvil for the name tag so we could get a zombie and not have him despawn. So I went around all the villages and started killing all of the iron golems.
I'm hoping for a messy diaper tonight.
What the hell are you talking about? After getting all of the iron for an anvil, Burbius fished up a name tag and we named this zombie Ditterbone, and we put him into his chamber and the iron golem started spawning. Oh, an iron golem spawned. Shit. After I finished the iron farm on day 30, I decided I wanted to add a wood layer to our tower. The view from the tower is awesome too. You get to see our entire compound in clear view. While I was making the iron golem farm, Burbius was busy with his own previous ventures. On day 13, we can see here Burbius trying to tame a cat, not because he likes cats, but because he wants to farm them with his kitty cat daycare. And as you'll see here, Burbius explains everything about his daycare and how it functions and how he collects string.
Once a kitten has grown up, they can then produce string, as seen here. These ones down here do not do anything except for die. This is the once they no longer require daycare, they get dealt with. They have provided me enough string to go ahead and make a rod, and I will come over to the state-of-the-art fishing platform, and I will need to catch a couple fish here for demonstration. Once 2 fish have been secured, you're going to go back to the daycare, see that one has grown up, deal with it swiftly. Then what you're going to need to do is pick a cell, and you're going to give one a fish, the other one a fish, sit one of them up. You're going to go ahead and make a baby.
What?
And it falls down here.
This is interesting. And after I got the iron from the iron farm and crafted our first set of iron armor, it took 32 days, but we have iron now. After witnessing Burbius's new farm, I move on to renovate the house and make it look a little nicer by adding a little oak log outline to the sides of the house and adding chiseled sandstone to the entrance, just to make it a little more nice, just to like ensure the visitors enjoy their stay. I also, as you can see here, work on a storage unit that is a little bigger because we are running out of space in our previous 2 chests. As you can see, our house now might resemble something pretty interesting with the 2 garages on the side and the big tower down the middle. On day 33, I moved the tree farm to the corner of the base to make way for a new villager trading hall that we're going to build in its place. And we're actually going to expand the tree farm and where we move it, and it's going to look a lot nicer. You'll see in a little bit here. Day 34, I worked on said villager trading hall, but then I scrapped the idea of a trading hall and decided to work on a quote-unquote mating dungeon, which we will have produce loads of villagers for us. Looks like I'm AFK again on day 35. Pretty sure I was eating some ribs while I let Burbius handle things out in the field. Day 36, I did some logging, and then continued to work on the villager mating dungeon. I finished the mating dungeon throughout the night, and the next day I went to the village and started transporting villagers over. I then threw bread at them to make them have sex and to start my villager empire. On day 38, I went to the nether to look for gravel because I needed flint for fletching tables, because we were going to trade sticks with the villagers to start out as our first means of getting resources. We later changed to iron because sticks were too expensive because trees, they didn't really grow as much and didn't supply enough wood. Days 39 through 40, I spent chopping down trees in order to get sticks for trading because we needed to level up our toolsmith first before we could use him to trade iron with to get more emeralds. And that's what I did at the end of day 40. I leveled up our weaponsmith to get him to buy our iron. And we were getting a lot of iron from the iron farm that we made. On day 41, I prettied up the iron farm and the bridge leading to it and traded the iron from the iron farm with some villagers. On day 42, I finished prettying up the iron farm, and then Burbius actually fished up a saddle, which was awesome, so now we could go get a camel to make traversing the terrain much easier. Day 43, I spent trading with villagers and actually managed to get the first diamond tools of the playthrough, which was really cool. And by the end of day 43, I began work on a second layer to the iron farm to double our iron output, which would make getting emeralds with villagers more efficient. On day 44, all I did was continue to work on the iron farm and adding another layer to it. On day 45, I took our camel to some nearby villages to get beds for the iron farm. And after getting the beds, on day 46, I moved the villagers into the iron farm. We also started running low on food, so I traveled to some nearby villages in order to get some wheat.
Do my thing, I'm going big.
I don't think this skeleton really thought that one through. On day 47, I got a zombie into the second layer of the iron farm and finished it up, causing the iron golems to begin spawning. For day 48, I just AFK'd the iron farm because I needed iron for villagers and upcoming projects you'll see soon. On day 49, I went out looking for a new camel because the one we had decided he wanted to wander off and he's missing now. So we want to quell our despair by getting a new one. I slept in the village, and on day 50, I took the camel to go look for a librarian because I wanted a lectern for our villagers. I ended up not finding any and just heading home, and just to make sure this guy does not fucking disappear again, I'm putting him in a hole. On day 51, I went to go visit Burbius, and he got busy building a big wall around our perimeter, replacing our small one, and he also made a new tower by the name of Sir Comes-a-Lot, as you can see here. He also dug out this quarry completely, so now it looks a little better. I did absolutely nothing for the rest of day 51, and on day 52, I built a stable for Camel Toe, which he will be his place of residence so he doesn't escape again. On day 53, literally all I did was trade and get more emeralds and AFK the iron farm. On day 54, I used a lectern to try and get a Silk Touch villager because we wanted grass for our compound. Oh yeah, also these two guys got trapped in a hole, so I dealt with them accordingly, I think. And by the end of day 54, I got the Silk Touch villager and applied it to my shovel. Started out day 55 by finding a wandering trader right outside the bounce pad. He ended up having dark oak saplings, which we purchased. Very expensive, but very worth it because dark oak is a beautiful wood. I took Camel Toe out and spent the rest of day 55 getting grass for the compound. And on day 56, I managed to accidentally find the stronghold right here. Yes. Oh, I found our base on accident. Nope, never mind. I found a stronghold. Oh my god.
Bro.
Dude. What?
How did you confuse a stronghold with our base?
Because there was like a floating object, and I thought that was just one of our pieces of our base rendering in, and then it was a stronghold. Dude. I then swiftly looted the stronghold and went to more villages to get more dirt. And on day 57, I came home with my newfound steed and reaped the rewards of the stronghold. On day 58, I started the day by putting dirt and grass around the pond to make a cute little oasis. I also killed all the cows so they get out of the way so I could put grass in their chamber. I also found a way to dupe the dirt in which we make coarse dirt with 2 dirt and 2 gravel, which then will make 4 coarse dirt, and then we can pad that coarse dirt to get regular dirt and double the dirt every single time we do this. And to do this, I would need to go to the nether to get more gravel. I then spent day 59 duping the dirt, which I used to fill in the animal farm, which would then be able to be inhabited by sheep, which we can finally get wool. And on the big day 60, instead of getting sheep, I thought it was mighty time to take down a temple in order to rebuild it inside the base, which I did not end up doing. Oh yeah, and then a creeper blew up my horse, so I had to collect the saddle and then get right back to stripping down the temple. I then spent day 61 also stripping down this temple and, doing minor things around the base, like trading. On day 62, I began working on a minor entranceway on the side of our base, because Burbius had been building a huge wall around our base 4 blocks wide, so we needed a grand entranceway to get into our compound. I ended up working on it into day 63, and I thought it looked alright. Not the best, but you know what? It would do for now. On day 64, I finally decided it was time to go get another sheep because we only had one and we wanted to start a giant wool farm. The cats were just not cutting it for now. On day 65, I finally found the sheep and brought them home. And by the end of the day, I dyed them green because our plan was to shear their wool and get a bunch of green carpet in order to make a big turf that engulfs the entire compound. Mainly because the slimes were pissing us off. Then I went to get glowstone because the torches were kind of ugly and wouldn't work with the turf, so to light up the turf I need to put glowstone under it. The next day I sheared the sheep and began the very first carpet of the turf. And for the rest of the day I prettied up the base, I bred sheep, I sheared sheep, and I placed down glowstone just to make the compound look a little bit nicer. On day 67 I continued with the vicious cycle of placing down glowstone, shearing sheep, and breeding sheep. On day 68, I go back to the nether for more glowstone, and then I continue the quote-unquote vicious cycle. On day 69, I'm back in the nether for more glowstone, and no, I'm not making a 6ix9ine joke. And on day 70, after enough trading, I finally get enough emeralds for a full set of diamond armor. I then use our new dark oak to make a new dark oak layer on the base, which looks pretty good. And on day 71, I travel out to villages for wheat to breed the sheep with. And that marks the moment of euphoria ending and having to go back to the vicious cycle of breeding sheep, shearing sheep, and placing carpets. On day 72, the cycle continues, and it does continue more on day 73. Got to a point where I started getting below 30 frames. There was so many sheep on my screen. I think it maxed out at 350 sheep. On day 74, I continue the placing of carpets. I finally also enlisted Burbius to help in the turf building. For context, the big wall and entranceway you see in the background here, Burbius had been working on for the last around 20 days, so he finally was about done and decided he was going to help me now. Day 75, the vicious cycle continued. Day 76, it continued to continue, but with both of us working on it, it was very close to being done. And by the end of day 76, it was done. The vicious cycle was over, and the compound looked amazing from the top of the tower. And the best part about it is, no slimes are ever going to spawn in our base ever again. The next day, I pretty up the wall Burbius made a little bit. I then also connect all the pathways to all the entrances in the compound. I then spent the night just ogling at the beauty of the compound. And if you're wondering what those lines are that go off into the distance, those are the quarry that Burbius used to get all of the sandstone for the wall. He mined around 20,000 sand. Day 78, I added a moldy layer to our compound base, just using the leftover wool from the sheep that Burbius murdered. And at the end of day 78, me and Burbius paid a visit to the ballroom, which is the centerpiece of our entire compound. We have not been here in 70 days, so it is quite an historic moment. Oh yeah, and on day 79, I added a moldy ball and a glowing tip to Sir Comes-a-Lot, because obviously he's in water, so he's going to start molding. So, you know, you just got to think about it like that. And I also started adding these ugly spires that hold up the iron farm, just to make this area look a little more industrial. Oh yeah, and Burbius was also working on a collection system where the iron farm would spit out its iron into a long tube that would funnel its way right into the villagers to make trading way easier. On day 80, I got a good look at the water collection system and how it would function, because at this point I was just waiting for Burbius to be able to add this system of spitting out the items and funneling them in. I then paid a visit to the nearby village, which used to be pretty decently far, but now is right next to the wall, and found there's only 2 villagers left, including this one that somehow got onto that roof. By the end of day 80, the water system was done, and now the iron would get directly funneled into the villager area. On day 81, I decided it was a mighty time for the Ender Dragon fight, or at least to start preparing, so I went to the Nether in search for a fortress, and I finally found one here. I made a little cage around the blaze spawner and just continued killing him until I had enough blaze rods. And then I looted the fortress in search of diamonds until I finally did find some. Something good. Oh my f***! Oh my f***! 3 diamonds, we can get an enchantment table. I was in fact correct. We could make an enchantment table now, which would be a big help for later on. After getting all the blaze rods I needed on day 82, I went to the warped forest to kill Enderman. After I get all the pearls I need, I head back home and I make an enchantment table. I spend the rest of day 82 working on a new enchantment room. The next day I continue to work on the enchantment room until it is finished. I end up finishing it by the end of the night. On day 84 though, I forgot how are we going to get lapis to enchant. But then I remembered, the cleric villager sells redstone and lapis for 1 emerald, so we're going to use that for a source of redstone and lapis. I then started enchanting my items, and then I combined my 2 sharpness 4 swords to make a massive sharpness 5 sword. Day 85, I began work on an XP farm. You know, I didn't realize it now, but this spot for it was incredibly ugly. However, I still built it. 2 layers, so it had efficient mob output. Day 86, I continued work on the mob farm, and as you can see here, the design was that the mobs would walk and fall down these trapdoors into water and flow down and take a lot of fall damage, making them extremely low, so they'd be easy to kill and easy to gain XP from. Oh yeah, and this was a statue of Bo Jengals we put on the grand entranceway. So unfortunately, my video file did corrupt for days 87 through 95. However, here is a quick recap about what I did over those days. So first and foremost, I finished the mob farm, which was 2 layers thick and produced a bunch of mobs. Here's me killing the mobs, so I'm getting some XP. Next, I decided I was going to make a big camel temple for the camels to live. So I needed to get some sand and sandstone, so here's me getting some sand, and here's me getting some sandstone. Here's me finishing off the temple and looking at the final product, and oh boy does it look good, especially the smoke coming out of the two sides. Inside the camel temple, of course, are camels. Dr. Cameltoe and Dinnerbone have been in here making a family. As we can see here, Burbius did make this. Madame squirts a lot, as you can see in the text above her, and he gave Sir a lot text too above him. We then decided it was time to fight the Ender Dragons, so we went over to the stronghold on day 95 and put all the things in and jumped in. The fight was extremely easy like always. This game is not a challenge. As you can see here, the dragon is just simply taking it like a good boy. And Burbius does end up getting the final trick shot here.
Get the clip.
One arrow.
Burbius.
Yes.
Burbius.
Burbius with the clip, dude. We then swiftly collected the dragon egg and went on to look for some wings. The next day I found two entities, both with ships, so me and Burbius were both getting wings today. I collected the wings on this one, and then I collect the next one. And then on day 97 we returned to the camel and me and Burbius make our trip home. We got home on day 98 and I started work on the final layer to the tower, which would be a sand layer. Not sandstone, sand layer. On day 99 I farmed the mob farm and enchanted some of my gear with newfound levels from the Ender Dragon. I then added the finishing touches to this layer of the tower, and me and Burbius go up there for the final night. Alright, Burbius, time to sleep. And look at the sun rise on the big day 100.
I'm scratching the shit out of my balls.
Right. And then for some reason I decided it'll be mighty fine to jump off the tower.
Shit.
Thank you everyone for making it to the end of the video. If you made it to the end, please comment Bo Jengals. If you have any other ideas for any other 100 days you'd like us to do, please let us know in the comments. We'd be happy to do them. We're a small channel here at Bo Jengals, but we like to do a lot. And this video might be a little short for 100 days, but just let us know if we should do it a little longer, go more in depth in our adventures. Also, one last thing, if you guys want us to do a 200 days, please let us know in the comments as well. If you want 100 days on a different challenge or 200 days of this world, because we definitely really enjoyed this playthrough.